Greetings, sports fans, and welcome to another exciting episode of Nick's Picks. I am your host, Nick, the main event bars. And as we dive off into this show today, we're going to be talking a little NFL action, Major League Baseball, as well as the NBA, and as well as a little college football. So we're going to dive right off into it. But before we do that, we want to give a huge shout out to the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Tampa Bay Lightning was able to pull off their second Stanley Cup Finals title, and in doing so, it made the world of hockey put on notice that it's just not a cold weather sport. Because if you think about it, when I was growing up, the Edmonton Oilers were a dominant team in the 80s, and then the Pittsburgh Penguins were dominant in the 90s, the Colorado Avalanche, and all these places were cold places, synonymous with great hockey. But the Tampa Bay Lightning were able to put that stamp on notice and say, hey, Florida has hockey too, and we're pretty good at it too with their second Stanley Cup. Now, as we shift gears, we're going to be talking a little Major League Baseball now. The divisional rounds have wrapped up, and now we're off into our NLCS as well as the ALCS title divisions. And on the one side, we're going to have the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the Atlanta Braves. A lot of history between these two two organizations. But in the end, I think the Los Angeles Dodgers are just one of the most balanced teams in baseball as far as their pitching, the hitting, everything is there for them to get to the World Series. And then I think as we shift gears onto the other side, we're going to be talking the Houston Astros and the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, but before we do that, I know a lot of baseball purists are a little upset with Houston getting in again. But the thing about it is, Dusty Baker has done an outstanding job. He lose Garrett Cole, one of the best pitchers in baseball, to the Yankees this past season. And he was still able to put that team together to get them into the playoffs. Although they were under 500, they still got into the playoffs and were able to get to the ALCS. So hats off to Dusty Baker. I know a lot of people upset with that whole 2017 and Houston being caught up with the whole cheating scandal. And so giving baseball another blackout, which I'm totally in agreement with, because, hey, I thought they should have got a little bit more punishment than what they got. But it is what it is. So now we have to move on. So now between that series, they're going to face a very balanced Tampa Bay Rays team. The Rays were able to dispatch the Yankees in a 5-game set this past week, and I think that the Rays are very well suited to beat Houston. And the reason why I say that is because of their pitching. Their staff has been outstanding all season long. And I think they will control those Houston bats, and that's what's going to allow Tampa Bay to get to the World Series. It's going to be a great matchup. Two well-balanced teams. The Dodgers and the Rays will be my pick to represent each conference in the World Series. Now, as we shift gears and talk about college football, as you see, I got the U gear on because you know it's all about the U, because you know what time it is. We place Houston. We place a huge contest coming up between Clemson, and I believe that Miami has the team to knock Clemson off. There's already been some upsets this season during college, and I think that Miami is ready to knock Clemson off tonight, and I truly believe that Miami will get the victory, and we'll discuss that more. But as we continue to look around college football, the Big Ten is coming back, and that's going to be exciting. The Pac-12 has moved their starting date up. That's going to be exciting. So next week we're going to have a full slate of college football, and we will have a lot of great games to talk about and a lot of great games to pick. But now understand this, Ole Miss, Alabama, that is a trap game for Alabama. Alabama needs to be prepared for that game. Lane Kiffin will throw out everything he has in the sink to try to beat Nick Saban. The first coordinator to do that. It's not going to happen, but that's what he's going to try to do. So look for Ole Miss to try everything they can do, fake punts. I mean, going for it on fourth down. But at the end, I think Alabama's talent will overcome all of that, and they will get the W. Now, as we continue to look around the world of college football, Florida's going to have their hands full with Texas A&M, not to mention that the Oklahoma-Texas shootout should be a great football game. We'll see how that plays itself out. But as we see, college football is back, and it's exciting once again. So we're just excited as fans to be a part of that. Now, as we dive over into the NBA, which I thought would be a 4-1 series. I was pretty sure that the Lakers would win that series 4-1, but give credit to the Heat for battling through to make it a 3-2 victory. But I still don't think they're going to have enough to beat the Lakers in a 7-game series, though. Instead of it being 4-1, it will be 4-2. Jimmy Butler, great performance last night. Robinson, great performance last night. But I think they spent everything they had to get to that point, and now their tanks are empty, and I think the Lakers will come out in Game 6 and go ahead and put the pedal to the metal, and Danny Green, mark my words, will have a better shooting night this time around, and the Lakers will go ahead and win that series and wrap that up and get their 17th NBA championship. Now, make no mistake about it, the Heat's not just going to lay down, but at the end of the day, like I say, the Lakers will end up wrapping that series up. So now as we dive off into the world of sports, I got a couple of new segments that I'm going to put in. Well, one new segment I'm going to put in. The first segment I'm going to put in this week is going to be called my NFL Power Rankings. Now, as the season begins to progress on, we're starting to see a little bit of a settling, if you will, of who are the top teams in the league. Now, I'm going to give you my top 4 teams in the league, and some people may not agree with it, but this is just what I've seen so far watching the film of this offseason, of this season so far. So we're going to start off with number 1. And at number 1, I got to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. The champs have not showed me anything less that they're not a bona fide contender once again, or a team to be reckoned with. They are continuing to win. They're undefeated. They have faced a big test in Baltimore. So I'm going with the Chiefs at number 1. At number 2, I got to go with the old guard, man. Russell Wilson, man. This guy has put his team on his back and continued to carry this football team. And the reason why I say that is if you look at that Seattle's defense, all the injuries they've had to incur so far this season, everything they've had to overcome, and Russell Wilson has continued to make up any deficiency this team may be lacking on the defensive side by putting up great numbers. Russell Wilson right now, to me, is playing at the highest level I've ever seen him play at his entire NFL career. And we're talking about a guy who has made it to a couple of Super Bowls. But I think right now where he's at, his progression to where he's able to see the field, slow the game down. And just to give an example of how well he's playing, last week his headset went out on his final game-winning drive. And Russell Wilson caught every single play during that game-winning drive to get Seattle down, to get the W. And like I say, he's playing the best I've ever seen him play. So that's why I have Seattle at number 2, and I do believe that they will continue this trend. And as we dive off into number 3, I got the Green Bay Packers at 3. And I know you say, well, they should be higher. Well, that's your opinion. My opinion is this. They're playing great football, but I'm looking at the level of competition they've played so far this season. There's nobody that they've played that really has jumped out to me besides New Orleans. And even with the New Orleans game, New Orleans was a little short-handed. So I'm anxious to see how they would play New Orleans if New Orleans was at full strength again. So I'm not really sold on Green Bay. I know it looks great right now, and that's why they're at number 3. They do look impressive, but we're going to see how this translates over the rest of the season. Now, as we get off into number 4, it's a little bit of a surprise. I know people were thinking probably Buffalo. I like Buffalo, but I still like Baltimore at 4. And I know you say, I didn't take a one-loss Baltimore team over a Buffalo undefeated team. And the reason, or undefeated Pittsburgh team. And the reason is this. I think Buffalo's defense is outstanding. But I think that Baltimore has the complete football team, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams. They are effective in all 3 areas. And that's one of the reasons why I'm giving the edge to Baltimore as my favorite at the number 4 position. Now, don't get me wrong. Buffalo Bills are definitely 5. They are playing great football right now. But at the end of the day, if I had to go my top 4, this would be my top 4, and Baltimore will be there. Now, understand this. Lamar has mastered the game. He is beginning to understand, what do I need to do, the little small nuances, if you will, to be a better quarterback. And that's what he's doing. You know, besides a little hiccup against Kansas City, he is playing lights out football. So at the end of the day, those are my top 4 picks of the NFL Power Rankings. And that could fluctuate, that could change throughout the season, as we know. Now, as we always do, we give you what were you thinking moment of the week. And the candidate for that is Bill O'Brien of the Houston Texans. Come on, Bill. First of all, you put a stamp on your death sentence at the beginning of the season when you traded away D-Hop. D-Hop is arguably one of the best wide receivers in football. He has shown that. He has proven that. You put him with Kyler Murray in Arizona, no matter what, he has not missed a beat. Now you've taken that comfort level that Deshaun Watson had when everything else broke down. I can go to D-Hop and I can make a play. And that was one of the staples last year that allowed you guys to get into the playoffs. So because of your ego, you say, no, I'm going to get rid of D-Hop. And then on top of that, I'm going to have a battle with one of the most important players of our defense, which was J.J. Watt. Him and J.J. Watt butted heads from what I'm understanding in the locker room. And then, you put down your defensive coordinator, you made all these moves, and then to put the nail in the coffin, you say to yourself, guess what? I want to bring in Earl Thomas. Here is a guy that had issues in places he's been. You look at Baltimore. Baltimore did not want him back. He was a great fit in Seattle for a long time until upper management had their issues with him in the end. So now here's a guy that comes with huge baggage, and you go to your organization and say, because I'm the general manager, I want to bring him in. And then your team basically almost causes a mutiny in order for you not to sign Earl Thomas. And I know you were hurting in your secondary, but at the end of the day, you need a guy who's going to be a cohesive player, who's going to bring your locker room together, not separate it. So that was the final nail in the coffin that make you my candidate for what were you thinking. And now here you are sitting on the sideline without a job. Now don't get me wrong, he's a great coach. Somebody will pick him up next year, maybe not as a head coach, but he'll probably get a position as a coordinator, if not a head coach in college, because of his track record. But at the end of the day, Bill, I hope you learn something from this and say to yourself, hey, maybe it's not all about me. Maybe I need to put the team needs first before I put my ego first. That is my what were you thinking moment of the week. But this is a new week here, so we're going to start off with our first game being
Jaguars-Texans.
Jaguars and the Texans. Man, just what Romeo Crennel needs to get his coaching career jump-started, and I like Houston in that game. Next game is
Bengals-Ravens.
Bengals and the Ravens. Joe Burrow and Bengals got a victory last week, but that win streak will end at 1. So now I like the Ravens to win that game. Our next game is
Panthers-Falcons.
Panthers and the Falcons. Man, can you please answer me how Dan Quinn still has a job? This man has blown so many leads, lost Super Bowls. It's unbelievable to me. So I like the Panthers to win that game. Next game is going to be
Raiders-Chiefs.
Raiders and the Chiefs. The Raiders will not knock off our Super Bowl champs just yet. I like the Chiefs to win that game. Next game is
Cardinals-Jets.
Man, just what the Cardinals need, man. The lowly Jets to come in to introduce a victory for them. I like the Cardinals. Next game.
Eagles-Steelers.
Man, the pride of Philadelphia is on the line, man. Ben Roethlisberger has been super hot. I like the Steelers to win that game. Our next game is
Rams-Washington.
Rams and Washington, man. Washington led us on a mirage in that first game, thinking they were going to be a really good football team. Since then, they have went backwards. They will not win this week. Our next game is
Dolphins-Niners.
Man, my Dolphins just can't catch a break, can they? They got the 49ers coming in. The 49ers are starting to get hot again. Unfortunately, my Dolphins will lose this week also, so I like the 49ers. Next game is
Giants-Cowboys.
Man, the battle of the NFC East bottom dwellers. How about that? But unfortunately, it's just what the boys need to get on the winning side, so I like the Cowboys in that game. Next game is
Colts-Browns.
Man, Phillip Rivers has injected life into Indianapolis, but unfortunately would not be enough to overcome Baker Mayfield and the Browns. I like the Browns in that game. Next game is
Vikings-Seahawks.
Vikings and the Seahawks, man. You don't know who's going to come out with the Vikings, but I'm telling you right now, Russell Wilson is the hottest quarterback in the league, and I like the Seahawks in that game. Next game.
Monday, Broncos-Patriots.
Broncos and the Patriots. The trendy pick will probably be to go with Denver, but unfortunately, I'm going to go against that, and I like the Patriots to win that one. The next game is
Chargers-Saints.
Chargers and the Saints. Man, the Saints need to get back on the winning side, and this is a team that will help them do that. I like New Orleans in that game. Next game is
Tuesday, Bills-Titans.
Bills and the Titans. This ought to be a really good defensive battle. Derrick Henry against that Bills defense. But unfortunately, I think the Bills offense is just a little bit better than them. So I like the Bills to win that game. And that has been Nick's Picks for week 5. We will be back at it again next week. I am your boy, Nick, the Main Event Barnes. God bless you. May you have a good night. And we are out.